From the top floor of a Manhattan high-rise, the hustle and bustle of the city appeared distant and small through the large glass windows. Jennifer Monroe looked up from the blueprints spread across her desk and sighed deeply. As the CEO of Monroe Properties, a rapidly growing real estate developer in New York, she lived each day in a whirlwind of activity. Outside the window, the evening light filtered between the skyscrapers, bathing her office in a golden glow. The light illuminated her golden-tinged hair, highlighting her as though she were a symbol of success. "Jennifer, there's a call from Mr. Brown," her assistant Lisa said, gently poking her head through the door. Jennifer nodded slightly and picked up her cell phone. It was the final adjustment for a major project involving resort development in Florida. "Yes, Mr. Brown, I've reviewed the documents. I understand all the special arrangements for my parents," she said. After ending the call, she took an old photograph from her desk drawer. It showed young Jennifer with her parents and baby April, taken in front of a small apartment in Queens. The photo contained memories of a time when they were poor but happy. When Jennifer was 10 years old, her father Thomas injured his back in a factory accident and lost his steady income. Her mother, Martha, worked 2 jobs, desperate to support the family. Young Jennifer started working part-time early on to help with expenses, balancing studies and work. It was during this time that a strong determination grew within her. "Someday, I want to make life easier for my family." Jennifer obtained a scholarship to attend a prestigious university's real estate program and immediately made her mark. After graduation, her sharp insight and persistent negotiation skills became renowned in the industry, and at 29 she established her own company. In 7 years, she had grown Monroe Properties into a significant presence in New York's real estate industry. However, as her success grew, so did the gap between her and her family. "Why do you work so hard? Do you want to become someone different from us?" These were the words Martha spoke at the celebration of Jennifer's first big success. To Martha, her daughter's accomplishments seemed to reflect her own failures. Her father, Thomas, continued to work as a small-time repairman. He always took pride in making his own living, but behind this was a stubbornness that prevented him from accepting his daughter's help. Her sister April had dropped out of college and drifted between various part-time jobs, still living with their parents. While envying her sister's success, she had given up trying, saying she was just an ordinary person. Though they appeared to be a harmonious family on the surface, in reality there was a whirlpool of complex emotions surrounding Jennifer: jealousy, pride, and the loneliness of not being understood. "Lisa, you can go home for today," Jennifer told her assistant, then picked up a red envelope from her desk. It contained a 1-week stay at the finest suite at Emerald Bay, which she had prepared as a gift for her parents' 40th wedding anniversary. But this was not just a luxury vacation gift. It was the first step in Jennifer's meticulous plan to secure her parents' and April's future. Emerald Bay Resort was a luxury complex co-developed by her company, with plans to build a high-end senior residence facility in one corner. The documents accompanying the voucher included lifetime membership for her parents and priority access to the future luxury care facility. Also enclosed were details of an educational trust fund planned for her sister, April. Everything was part of her long-nurtured safety net for her family, a project Jennifer had carefully built. Clutching the envelope to her chest, she felt relief. She had succeeded in ensuring her parents and sister would never experience the hardships of her childhood again. She planned to share this plan at tomorrow's dinner. "I wonder if they'll understand this time," Jennifer murmured as she left the office, filled with both hope and anxiety for tomorrow. The next evening, she parked her car in a quiet residential area in Queens and took a deep breath. Her parents' house was a small 2-story home which her father, Thomas, had always refused to repair. Despite her offers to help, the old porch light still flickered, just as it had in the past. When she opened the door, laughter could be heard from the living room. As Jennifer stepped inside, she saw her parents and sister April chatting animatedly. The 3 of them noticed Jennifer and suddenly seemed to suppress their laughter. "Oh, Jenny, you're here." Martha stood up to greet her daughter. "I thought you'd be late. You always seem so busy." There was a hint of sarcasm in those words. Jennifer tried to ignore it and held out the bottle of wine she had brought. "It's your favorite, Chardonnay, the one Dad likes." Thomas just nodded silently. When Jennifer's gaze turned to the piece of paper on the table, April quickly hid it in her pocket. "What were you looking at?" Jennifer asked. "Nothing at all," Martha answered, heading toward the kitchen. "Dinner is ready. Let's sit down." The table was set with her mother's specialty dishes. Jennifer searched for a way to bring up the resort. "By the way, are you free next month? I have a special plan." "What is it? More of your business talk?" Martha said, picking up her wine glass. "No, something more personal." Jennifer was about to reach for the red envelope when Thomas's cold gaze interrupted her. "Jenny, you don't need to do anything special for us. We're satisfied with our current life." April chuckled sarcastically as she put a potato in her mouth. "My sister always has to be dramatic." The conversation gradually shifted to other topics. Martha gossiped about the neighbors, Thomas talked about sports, and April discussed her recent dates. Jennifer tried several times to bring the conversation back, but her family skillfully avoided it. When apple pie was served for dessert, Jennifer determinedly took out the red envelope. "This is to celebrate your 40th wedding anniversary. I've prepared a special gift." Martha and Thomas exchanged confused glances. April suddenly showed interest and leaned forward. "Open it," Jennifer offered. Martha took out the voucher and documents, quickly browsing through them. Thomas peered over her shoulder. Surprise spread across their faces, but it wasn't the joy Jennifer had expected. "A resort in Florida?" Martha frowned. "It's fancy, but it's Emerald Bay, one of the most luxurious resorts in Florida. It's opening next month. This includes a 1-week stay and special arrangements," Jennifer explained enthusiastically. Silence followed. There was an invisible but definite wall between Jennifer's enthusiasm and her family's cool response. Suddenly, Martha began to giggle. It was the laugh Jennifer knew well, the one she used when hiding a secret. "Jenny, actually," Martha said, not even trying to suppress her laughter, "we already sold that voucher." The blood drained from Jennifer's face. "What did you say?" "That's right," Martha shrugged. "Last week your assistant called to say a special mail would arrive. As soon as it came, we sold it, got a good price too." "But why?" Jennifer's voice trembled. Thomas cleared his throat. "To be honest, a vacation with you would be constrained. We have our own lives." April reached for her mother's wine glass, took a sip, and added, "It made for a nice bit of pocket money, thanks." The three of them were laughing. Martha's eyes had a triumphant gleam. Thomas seemed relaxed as he settled deeper into his chair. April pulled out her smartphone and began checking messages. Jennifer stood frozen. In her mind, she could see all her plans crumbling: the lifetime resort membership, priority access to the luxury senior facility, April's educational trust fund. All of it had disappeared along with that voucher. "Did you read the enclosed documents?" Jennifer asked hopefully. "There were some legal papers, but they looked complicated, so I didn't read them," Martha answered indifferently. "The buyer said he didn't want those things anyway." Jennifer quietly stood up. Words were no longer necessary. She took her car keys and silently walked toward the entrance. "Oh, are you leaving already?" Martha's voice had a mix of confusion. "What about dessert?" Jennifer didn't look back. She opened the door and took a deep breath of the cold night air. Once she got into her car and started the engine, she suppressed her emotions. About 10 minutes away from her parents' house, the tears finally flowed. Her hands trembled on the steering wheel. Her vision blurred. She pulled the car over to the side of the road and cried quietly for a long time. Her phone rang. It was her mother. Jennifer ignored the call and instead sent a short message to her assistant. "Lisa, please cancel all family plans for the Emerald Bay project. I'll explain the details tomorrow." Jennifer took a deep breath and wiped away her tears. She looked at her reflection in the rearview mirror. Deep down, she knew this moment would be a turning point in her long-strained relationship with her family. Jennifer placed the phone down gently, but her trembling fingers betrayed the storm inside her. She leaned back in her chair and exhaled slowly, as though releasing a weight she had carried for years. With one hand, she pressed the intercom. "Lisa, please call Attorney Gordon immediately." Her voice was steady, but inside she was unraveling. An hour later, Mark Gordon, her longtime legal counsel, walked into her office. He was a meticulous man, his calm demeanor matched by the sharp intelligence that gleamed from behind his glasses. Setting his briefcase down, he studied Jennifer's weary face. "You want to cancel everything?" His tone carried disbelief. "Jennifer, these aren't small gestures. The lifetime membership for your father and mother. Priority access to that luxury care facility you've been negotiating for 2 years. The villa near Palm Springs, all of it? And now you're even considering revoking the educational trust fund for April?" Jennifer didn't turn to face him. She remained by the tall windows, watching the skyline where the city stretched endlessly beneath a bright but indifferent sky. "Yes, Mark," she said softly, "that's exactly what I want." Mark's frown deepened. "Jennifer, forgive me, but may I ask what happened?" Her answer was clipped, but her voice wavered at the edges. She told him about the night before, her parents' cold words, her sister's mocking laugh, and the realization that no matter how much she gave, they would never see her worth. Mark closed the folder in front of him and tapped it lightly, choosing his words. "Legally, you're safe. Nothing has been finalized or delivered. You can pull back everything with no consequence." But, he hesitated. "But what?" Jennifer asked without turning. "Just my advice as someone who's known you a long time. Don't do this in anger. Emotions can make us reckless. Maybe wait until..." Jennifer finally turned and gave him a faint smile. Her eyes, however, were resolute. "This isn't anger, Mark. This is clarity. My family doesn't need me. They don't want me. I'm simply choosing to believe them." Mark sighed and stood, straightening his suit jacket. He had represented her for years and knew when her mind was set. "I'll draft the necessary documents today." After he left, silence filled the office. Jennifer sat at her desk, trying to immerse herself in the files for her new real estate project. But her thoughts betrayed her. They drifted back to her parents' indifference, to April's dismissive smirk, and to the crushing loneliness that followed her home last night. She was still lost in thought when the door swung open. Lisa entered, breathless, eyes wide with alarm. "Miss Monroe," she stammered, "I'm sorry to barge in, but urgent information just came in about the buyer of your parents' voucher." Jennifer looked up sharply. "What happened?" Lisa handed her a tablet. "The buyer, Frank Doss, has a criminal record, multiple fraud cases. He's a social engineering expert who targets seniors. According to our security team, he's already been reselling information on the dark web. And," her voice faltered, "there's reason to believe he may have accessed your parents' personal data." Jennifer's heart thudded. On the screen, a mugshot glared back at her. Doss's face was smug, hardened by years of deception. For a moment, instinct took over. She wanted to call her parents immediately, to warn them, to protect them. But then her hand froze above the phone. Images of their laughter at her expense flashed in her mind, and the hurt rooted her in place. "Should I notify the police?" Lisa asked cautiously. Jennifer rubbed her temples, torn. "Not yet. Keep monitoring him. Track his movements. I want more information before we act." "But what about your parents?" "Not now, Lisa," Jennifer interrupted firmly. "Please." Lisa hesitated, then nodded reluctantly and left. Alone again, Jennifer turned back to the window. The city buzzed with life, its rhythm unbroken, while inside her, a new determination sparked. She whispered to herself, "Family Support Fund." Opening her laptop, she began typing. Monroe Family Support Foundation appeared at the top of the document. With every keystroke, her pain slowly transformed into purpose. She drafted the mission, helping those estranged from family, providing resources for adult children struggling with caregiving, building a safe network for those who felt abandoned by the people they loved most. "Let my pain become someone else's hope," she murmured, her fingers flying faster across the keys. For the first time in weeks, she felt lighter. Her phone rang suddenly. Her mother's name glowed on the screen. The sound pierced her heart, tempting her with the familiarity of home. But after staring at it for what felt like an eternity, she pressed decline and returned to her work. Hours later, Lisa returned, her face pale. "Miss Monroe," she said, almost in a whisper, "security just confirmed. Doss has already opened several credit cards under your parents' names. The fraud is spreading quickly." Jennifer inhaled sharply, her chest tightening. Worry tangled with disappointment inside her. "Prepare a full report. she said at last. I'll decide what to do tomorrow. The following morning, the sky above New York was brilliantly blue. Jennifer had been up since dawn, leading a video conference with her Florida partners. The Emerald Bay project was nearing its most critical stage, and her composure was unshaken as she discussed construction schedules and marketing strategies. But when the meeting ended, reality knocked again. Lisa's voice came through the intercom, trembling. Miss Monroe, your parents and your sister are here. Jennifer froze. Here? Yes. They insist it's urgent. They seem desperate. For a long moment, Jennifer sat in silence. Finally, she said, show them to the conference room. I'll be there in 10 minutes. She tidied her desk slowly, her hands lingering on the papers as though steadying herself. Then she checked her reflection in the mirror, forcing a calm, professional mask over the storm inside her. She wasn't ready to forgive them. She wasn't sure she ever could. But she also couldn't ignore the shadow of Frank Doss, circling dangerously close to her family. And so, she straightened her shoulders and walked toward the conference room, each step echoing louder than the last.